The airport terminal buzzed with the low hum of overhead announcements and the occasional shuffle of hurried passengers. The air smelled like jet fuel mixed with stale coffee, an aroma that seemed to stick to everything and linger longer than it should. Sitting in the cold, metallic chair of a wheelchair, I felt the weight of my own helplessness. My knee, freshly operated on just 3 weeks ago, throbbed with a dull, persistent ache. I was waiting for my stepdaughter, Qley, who was supposed to pick me up. But as time stretched on, the absence of her became more than just physical. It was a palpable emptiness. 40 minutes had passed before my phone buzzed in my lap. I glanced down to see a message from Qley, its simplicity striking me harder than any insult could. "I'm not coming." My fingers trembled as I dialed her number, but the voice that answered was flat, emotionless, as though it were rehearsed. "I hope you get help from someone else, but not me because I don't want you to return home," she said, before hanging up without another word. I stared at my phone, the screen blowing in my hands, trying to process what had just happened. At first, I thought it was a joke, but the longer I sat there, the more I realized it was something else entirely, a decision. The cold of the terminal wasn't just from the air conditioning anymore, it was deeper, more internal, like a chill that seeped into my bones. I called Diane, hoping for some kind of explanation, some comfort, but when she picked up, the sound of her laughter, light and almost carefree, hit me like a slap across the face. "Oh, you're still at the airport? Well, I guess you'll have to figure it out. We'll move on without you. Take care of yourself," she said, her words dripping with a tone I couldn't recognize. I let the phone fall into my lap, the weight of it all sinking in. My own family had discarded me, and in that moment, I understood just how deep the betrayal went. The weight of the phone in my lap seemed heavier now, a constant reminder of the call I had just received. Diane's words still echoed in my ears, her laughter as cold and indifferent as the terminal I was sitting in. "We'll move on without you," she had said, as if it were the most casual thing in the world. As the minutes stretched into what felt like hours, I began to feel the coldness of the moment seep deeper into me. The betrayal wasn't just about being left at the airport, it was about everything that had led up to this point, everything I had sacrificed. I thought about the years I had spent trying to be the good husband, the good father. I had given everything to this family, money, time, energy, and yet, here I was, abandoned, humiliated. I had paid for Qley's private school tuition, for her braces, for her first car. I had always tried to be there for her, even when I knew I was just the man who lived in the house, not her real father. I had never minded that, or at least, I had told myself I didn't. I had given Diane everything I could, my love, my trust, my finances, and I thought that one day, they would appreciate it. But they didn't. In that moment, I saw it all clearly. It wasn't just a series of unfortunate events, it was a plan. Slowly, like a fog lifting, I realized that Diane and Qley had been working together for months, maybe longer. This wasn't just about a moment of frustration or a single act of cruelty. This was calculated. They had been quietly taking control, maneuvering me out of the picture without ever saying a word. I had signed power of attorney forms during my surgery, giving Diane access to everything. I had trusted her. And now, she was using that trust against me, using everything I had built, everything I had worked for, to push me aside. The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. The woman I had married, the woman I thought I knew, was someone I barely recognized now. She had never really loved me the way I loved her. She had seen me as a means to an end, someone to provide, someone to make her life easier. She didn't care about me, she only cared about what I could give her. And now, Qley, who I had tried to treat as my own, was in on it too. I thought back to the times I had been so proud of our family, of the life I had built. I had worked hard, sacrificed countless hours to make sure they had everything they needed. I had done everything for them, but it had never been enough. And now, in the cold, sterile environment of that airport terminal, I understood the truth. I had been nothing more than a stepping stone for them to reach their own goals, a resource to be used and discarded when they no longer needed me. The pain of the betrayal was suffocating. It was as if every breath I took was heavy with the weight of all the lies I had been fed, all the trust one had given away blindly. I had believed in them, believed in my family. But now, I was left with nothing but the empty space between me and them, a space filled with nothing but broken promises and lies. The truth was harder to swallow than any physical pain I had ever known. It was the kind of truth that broke you down, piece by piece, until you were left with nothing but the raw, aching reality of what had been taken from you. And yet, as the minutes ticked by, I felt something else, something stronger than the pain. A quiet resolve. It wasn't over. Not yet. The weight of the realization still hung over me like a cloud, but it wasn't enough to keep me down. Monica's words, harsh yet clear, rang in my mind, refusing to let me stay in this state of helplessness. You don't deserve this, David. You're stronger than this. You've worked too hard to let them take it all from you. She had been right. I had been weak, but that was going to change. Sitting in that chair, the airport terminal buzzing around me, I could almost feel the shift inside me. The anger that had built up over the last hour gave way to something else, determination. I wasn't going to let Diane and Qley continue to play me like a fool. They had already taken enough from me, but they weren't going to take everything. I reached for my phone, the screen still lit with the call I had made to my lawyer. I needed to act fast, and there was only one person I trusted to help me do it. Saul Glassman. I had known him for years, and though he'd never been one to offer sentimental advice, I knew he would understand the urgency. The moment he answered the phone, I wasted no time. Saul, I need you to do something for me, and I need it done immediately. His voice, usually calm and steady, sharpened with concern. What's going on, David? I'm transferring every property I own. All of it. Effective today. I need you to revoke Diane's access to everything. Accounts, cards, all of it. She doesn't get a cent more. There was a pause, brief but heavy. Are you sure about this? More sure than I've ever been about anything in my life, I replied, my voice steady now. The old me would have hesitated, would have second-guessed, but not anymore. This wasn't about revenge. It was about taking back control, about not letting them keep what wasn't theirs. I hung up and immediately contacted my bank. I didn't care about the usual questions or formalities. I bulldozed through the verification process, not giving them time to ask about passwords or security questions. This is David Rowe. I need you to cancel 2 authorized users on all accounts. Diane Rowe and Qley Rowe. Flag every card with their names and block all future access. The banker tried to keep pace with me, but I was already several steps ahead. My mind raced through the list of things I needed to do, but there was no panic. Just clarity. The next call was to the real estate agent. I needed the house off my name. I want to sell the house. It's a private sale. Cash buyer preferred. And I need a clause in the contract, no current occupants are allowed to stay past 2 days from closing. I'll have my attorney send the eviction notice. I could feel the weight lifting, the chains breaking with every word I spoke. I took a deep breath, looking around at the crowded terminal. I wasn't just making phone calls anymore, I was reclaiming my life. The anger was still there, but now it was a tool, something to fuel me instead of something that would consume me. I could feel the power shifting, not in my physical body, but in my resolve. I had always been the one to provide, to give. But now, I was taking back what was mine. I wasn't going to let Diane and Qley hold my future in their hands. They were going to find out, the hard way, that I wasn't someone they could walk all over anymore. I called the lawyer again, needing confirmation that everything was in motion. Saul, the sale should go through tomorrow. I'm done, Saul. I'm done with them. You've made up your mind, I can see that. We'll make sure this goes smoothly. The final piece of the puzzle fell into place. I had done everything I could. Now it was time to wait. But even as I sat there in that cold, sterile airport terminal, I knew one thing for sure, I had control. The power had shifted, and there was no going back. Monica was still beside me, quietly watching me as I made these decisions. Her presence was steady, a grounding force when I needed it most. She didn't ask questions, she simply understood. And that meant more to me than I could put into words. She had seen the man I used to be, the one who had given everything to a family that never appreciated him. But now, she was seeing the man I had become, the one who had had enough and was ready to take back his life. When the calls were done and everything was set in motion, I exhaled deeply. I wasn't the broken man I had been an hour ago. I wasn't weak. I was ready to move forward, and nothing was going to stop me. The weight that had hung over me for so long was finally starting to lift. I stood in the small, quaint house by the lake, the quiet lapping of the water against the shore creating a peaceful rhythm that filled the air. It wasn't much, but it was mine. No more tension, no more lies, no more pretending to be something I wasn't. I could finally breathe. The walls of this house, though modest, felt like freedom. The rooms were simple, with windows that let in the natural light and gave me a view of the water every morning. For the first time in years, I felt at peace. The heaviness I had carried from my past life, with Diane and Qley, seemed to fade away with every passing day. This house was my new beginning, a fresh start in a place where I could be myself without fear of being used or betrayed. Monica had been there beside me through it all. She had never asked for anything in return. She had simply been there, offering her support when I needed it most. We spent our days slowly transforming the house, painting the walls, planting flowers in the garden. It wasn't about making the house perfect, it was about making it ours. It was about building a life that was free of the ghosts of the past. I often found myself sitting on the porch in the evenings, staring out at the lake as the sun dipped below the horizon. I thought about everything I had been through and how far I had come. I had lost so much, my family, my home, my sense of security. But I had gained something far more valuable, my self-respect, my dignity, and my independence. I had taken control of my own life again, and that was something no one could ever take from me. As I sat there, I thought about the lessons I had learned. How I had spent so many years giving, thinking that if I just gave enough, if I just tried hard enough, I would be appreciated. But that wasn't the case. The truth was, I had allowed myself to be used. I had allowed my need to be needed to cloud my judgment. And it had cost me. But now, I understood that true freedom didn't come from pleasing others. It came from being true to yourself, from standing up for what you believe in, and from knowing your own worth. This was the lesson that had taken me so long to learn, and now, I could live by it every day. I wasn't just free from Diane and Qley. I was free from the person I had been, the person who had been willing to sacrifice everything for people who would never appreciate it. I had broken free from that cycle, and now I could finally live for myself. Monica came outside and sat next to me, handing me a cup of coffee. She didn't say anything, but I could see the quiet understanding in her eyes. She knew what I had been through, and she knew that this peace wasn't something I had found easily. But it was real. And it was mine. We sat in silence for a while, just watching the sun set over the lake. It felt like the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. I had been through hell, but I had come out on the other side stronger. I had learned what it meant to be truly free. For the first time in years, I didn't feel the need to look back. The past was gone, and it was no longer a part of me. I was moving forward, one day at a time, and I was ready to face whatever came next. Thank you for watching and supporting our channel. If this story resonated with you or touched your heart, don't forget to like and share it with your friends. Your support helps us continue to bring more stories like this to light. We'd love to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Drop a comment below, and we might just give you a special shout-out in our next video. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on our upcoming stories. We have plenty more coming your way, and we can't wait to share them with you. Join our community, and be part of the journey as we explore more powerful narratives together. Thank you for being here, and we hope to see you in the next video.